Loyal friendship. 1 Samuel chapter 20. Saul knew the Lord was with David, so he made him an enemy. Additionally, David had gained the affections of Saul's family. Jonathan was David's best friend, and Michal was David's wife. With the kingdom slipping from Saul's hand, David became the target of the king's deadly jealousy. David fled from Saul and went to visit Samuel in Ramah. Then, after realizing that Saul was actively seeking his life, David went to Jonathan to find out why. David trusted that his friend Jonathan would tell him the truth. "What have I done? What is my guilt? Why does your father want to kill me?" These were the questions David asked Jonathan as he opened himself up to his best friend to hear the truth. Loyal friendship exists when people are open and honest with one another in speaking and hearing the truth. Jonathan couldn't conceive that his father would want to kill David, yet David persisted in his belief that there was only a step between him and death. David needed a close friend to confirm or deny his belief. Jonathan was willing to hear out his friend even though he had a different perspective on the situation. As friends, David and Jonathan were willing to have their loyalties challenged and to be proven wrong. David and Jonathan came up with a plan. David would skip out on the upcoming royal family dinners and hide in a field for 3 days. If Saul asked where David was, Jonathan would tell his father that David was visiting family in Bethlehem. Saul's reaction to this news would verify whether or not Saul was trying to kill David. Yet even before their plan was implemented, David and Jonathan made covenants with one another. Loyal friends make plans together, but when friends take different paths, they remain faithful to the relationship. If it was evident that David's life was threatened, then Jonathan would shoot an arrow into the field where David was hiding. This communication signal was like a secret handshake to protect David's life. Sure enough, on the second evening, Saul had an outburst of wrath when he discovered that David was not coming to dinner. When Jonathan challenged his father's anger, Saul threw a spear at Jonathan, almost killing his own son. Jonathan was deeply grieved and knew exactly what he needed to do next. He had to be loyal to his friend, even if it meant laying down his right to the throne and possibly even laying down his own life. In the morning, Jonathan shot the arrow to give David the signal that his life was in danger. In a final interaction before parting ways, David and Jonathan met in the field. David expressed his loyalty to his friend by bowing 3 times before Jonathan. They kissed one another and wept with one another. David wept the most, perhaps because he knew that he would live the next season of his life as a lonely refugee. These friends made promises to one another that would find their fulfillment many years later. David remembered his promises and showed kindness to the relatives of Jonathan once he reigned. David and Jonathan had a friendship that was based on loyalty. Loyalty was displayed in many ways, but perhaps the greatest way was through their covenant promises to each other's offspring. Many years later, Jesus, the offspring of David, was born. He also made a covenant with his friends. Jesus tells the truth to his friends. As his friends, we need to believe that what Jesus tells us is true. Jesus laid down his rights and his life for us. And in loving response, we ought to lay down our rights and our lives. There is no greater love than for a friend to lay down his life for a friend. Jesus calls us friends. Do you have a loyal friendship with Jesus?